Michael from oneskyastrology. Today I want to talk about the Galactic Center. So I make reference to the Galactic Center in my videos, but I don't think that it's a really widely known part of the heavens, and I wanted to make a little video about it. I want to make a little video and explain some about the Galactic Center. And so at the center of the Milky Way galaxy is a supermassive black hole. It's called, astronomically, it's called Sagittarius A-star. And it takes 250 million years for the sun, our sun, to orbit the Galactic Center. So supermassive black holes are awesome because they're primordial. They're from a period of the universe very early, when the universe was much smaller and denser and hotter, and we don't even have the conditions at this point in the history of the universe to create new supermassive black holes. And for more information on supermassive black holes and how they form, I want to leave a link to a Khan Academy video on supermassive black holes. So, regular black holes are the remnants of incredibly massive stars as their cores burn out and they collapse back in on themselves. They create the conditions where, the math almost collapses. You have almost an infinite density, a ball of infinite density, and then around it you have a region where nothing is escaping. Nothing whatsoever, not light, not any form of radiation, and everything's kept, it's contained, it's can't escape that event horizon. And outside of that event horizon, we look at it and we see just this black point in space emitting some weird energy. Now, that's right, no energy is escaping, but around the edges of a black hole, things get really weird because of the high gravitational forces. I'll explain a little more about that as we go on. But you can detect a black hole, and you can be very sure that it is a black hole. And in fact, scientists had assumed for a long time that the object in the middle of the Milky Way galaxy was a supermassive black hole, but we didn't know for absolutely certain until late October 2018. So just last year, when this is being published, just last year, a couple months ago, we finally were sure that it was a supermassive black hole. So a supermassive black hole can be hundreds of thousands to billions of times the mass of the sun. And Sagittarius A-star is about 4 million solar masses. That's 4 million times the mass of the sun. It's over 25,000 times the mass and force of the largest, most powerful stars in the galaxy. And so I think it's interesting. I think that it's astronomically the most important thing to life in the Milky Way. It's literally the force and the object around which our galaxy organizes itself and rotates. It coheres around Sagittarius A-star. One of the really awesome things about Sagittarius A is Sagittarius A is a region of space where Sagittarius A-star, this black hole, is. And Sagittarius A is a region with clouds of gases, just this like cosmic storm, this like maelstrom, like clouds of gases moving at 30% the speed of light, which is unbelievably fast. It's like 50,000 miles per second, like 1/1000. Hard to even comprehend or get your head around how much energy that is, how much force that is, how much is going on there at the center of the galaxy. And when you get energies, when you get gases or any kind of energy moving that fast, you have a release of energy across the entirety of the electromagnetic spectrum, including visible light, X-rays, gamma rays, radio waves, Hawking radiation, and more. And now I don't want to get into energy and how astrology works, but you do have gravity and other forces coming greatly into play here. So this is space, high space. We can see the Milky Way, and I'm going to kind of follow it around. And then we have this kind of black, cloudy region of the Milky Way, and this is where the magic happens. This is where, in fact, if I search for Sagittarius A-star, I'm going to find it right here at the heart of this dark section of the Milky Way. The Maya called this section the Dark Rift. They called it Xibalba. It was an entrance to the underworld. It was the dark road to the underworld. And their idea of the underworld was awesome. It was like a place with gardens and palaces and bars and ball courts, and like it was a world. It was a place. And they identified Xibalba with this region of space. And in art, which was very important to the Maya, the art and metaphor of it, they depicted Xibalba as the mouth of a water serpent, or the mouth of a water dragon, a water monster. And they depicted it as a cave into which people entered as they died, and out of which they came to inhabit life on planets in the galaxy. The Maya knew that Xibalba was here in the Dark Rift. They were really clear about that. And I want to talk a little about the astrology, of course, because my channel is an astrology channel, and I'm not going to talk all about astronomy and sidereal mythology. So let me just get some constellation boundaries, and yeah, that's the goodness. So right here we have Sag A-star. This is Xibalba. This is the cave of life and death, the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Here we have the arrow of Sagittarius, the archer. We have the tail of the scorpion and its claws up here. And we have a fucus, the serpent bearer. So we can see Scorpio, Sag, and a fucus. And Xibalba, the Sagittarius A-star, sits right in the middle of them. So I find it really interesting that the associations that are made, technically, Sag A-star is in the last degree of a fucus in the tradition of astrology I practice, which is called true sidereal astrology, because it uses the actual size and location of the constellations as opposed to artificial or arbitrary sign boundaries. So here we can see the Galactic Center at 12 degrees of a fucus, right here at this last point. And just like the Mayans associated this point with death and rebirth, a fucus was Asclepius, the serpent bearer, who was the lord of life and death, who could heal so well that he could resurrect the dead, and really as a sign, as an astrological sign, has a lot to do with the journey of death and rebirth. And here in the heavens, we see the feet of Ophiuchus. And here's Jupiter just passing through Ophiuchus now. If anyone had their doubts about where Jupiter was, I know most of the Western world thinks it's somewhere in Sagittarius right now, but this is the easternmost border of Sagittarius, and this is the tail of the Scorpion. And these are the stars of Ophiuchus right here, so you can see that Jupiter is directly in the realm of Ophiuchus. Without wanting to say too much about Ophiuchus, death, rebirth, I also want to bring the energy of Scorpio into the frame, because this Sag A-star is right next to the Scorpion's tail, right next to this ominous point in the sky, which was always respected and even a little bit feared. The Mayans looked at it with awe, and they looked at it as a place of reverence, but at the same time they looked at it as a place of some degree of evil, actually. And I think it might have been evil because it was the source of fear, of loathing, of the dread of death. And but I can't go back. I can't go back to the Mayan age and put myself in their position and talk to them and see why they thought it was evil. But they felt that the underworld was a very ominous spot in the sky. And as planets transit this way towards it and pass it, it's a little bit of a reset to that planet. I find it's like a death and rebirth of that planetary phase, and then it moves into Sagittarius, and kind of comes out. It's like born. It expands. It's kind of bright and optimistic, and has that exuberance and the drive of Sagittarius, that fiery drive. So in astrology, I think the important thing to understand about it is that it's a point. As bodies pass that point, it's a reset. It's like a new year for that body. It's kind of a galactic year. It's almost like a return, a galactic return, and when it aspects up to planets in a square or a trine, especially, I've seen it impart a sense of power, and I don't personally find it to be an evil or an ominous influence in the charts that I've read that it does play a significant role in, but I've seen it be a severe and an influence that has to do with personal power, and I've seen it like Pluto. Impart depth and intensity to whatever it touches, in the same way as Pluto brings that kind of depth and intensity and transformative quality. I think Sag A-star and Xibalba, the Galactic Center, has a very, very similar effect. So that's all for now. Maybe there'll be more videos as I deepen my knowledge and have more to share. But I just want to say, keep your eye on that 12th degree of Ophiuchus if you're a conventional Western astrologer. Practicing with the tropical zodiac, that's going to be 24 degrees of Sagittarius. So you can really notice some powerful changes. Just for one example, Saturn in 2016 transited and conjoined to the Galactic Center, and it was a year. Now Saturn represents the structure of power and authority, and it was right about the time Donald Trump was elected to the presidency in the United States, and since then we've seen a real turn in the structure of power on Earth. For example, in Brazil, there are other examples of just a shift towards just a shift in the structure of power towards totalitarianism, towards more tyranny, towards more dictatorship kind of models. And it's going to be very interesting to see Saturn conjunct Pluto in January 2020, because as that conjunction goes exact, the Sun is going to be moving right over it. I've pulled this chart, and I can't wait to make this video, because you know, it's either going to deepen and intensify, or it's going to totally blow up. It's going to change. It's going to get shaken up, and Pluto can have either effect, actually. And my hope is that with the benefic energy of the Sun there, that we're going to see things really shaken up. We're going to see that whole little Saturnine dream of global tyranny kind of disrupted. But you know, now I'm getting off topic. I do appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.